What if your government controlled your job, your clothes, your haircut, and even the way you think? What if you had to hide your feelings from your own family, afraid that one wrong word could land you and them in a prison camp for life? This is not a scene from some fancy movie. This is daily life in North Korea, a country locked away from the modern world where truth is hidden, freedom is a foreign idea, and fear is the foundation of society. Before we go any further, here's why you'll want to watch this until the end. In a country where even watching the wrong movie can get you killed, something unexpected is happening. Women are running black markets. Teenagers are smuggling USB sticks loaded with foreign media. People are risking their lives, not for fame or fortune, but for the simple truth of what the world outside looks like. These quiet acts of rebellion are starting to shake the foundations of one of the most violent dictatorships on the planet. If you've ever taken freedom for granted or wondered what it costs when it's completely stripped away, what you're about to hear and see will make you sit up. And if you think more people should know what's really happening behind North Korea's borders, share this. Subscribe if you want the truth to travel further. Let's start with the basics. In North Korea, the government decides everything, from where you live to what you study, who you marry, even what kind of haircut you're allowed to have. Men get to choose from a government-approved list of just 15 styles. But why would a government care what jeans you wear? You'll see, you can't dye your hair. You can't wear skinny jeans or anything that even slightly resembles Western fashion. And if you're wondering, no, you're not allowed to copy Kim Jong-un's haircut. That one's reserved for the supreme leader alone. And don't even think about watching a movie from South Korea or the US. It can get you executed. In 2022, two teenagers were sentenced to 12 years of hard labor for watching and sharing a South Korean drama. A young man was publicly shot to death for doing the same thing. Just let that sink in. Inside North Korea, information is dangerous. The internet doesn't exist for most people. There's an intranet, basically a fake version of the internet with only government-approved websites. But the real control goes even deeper. If you're lucky enough to access it, you still need government permission. And a librarian sits between every two users. Every 5 minutes, your screen freezes, and the librarian has to scan their fingerprint to let you continue. Phones aren't private in North Korea. The software is designed to randomly capture screenshots and send them straight to the authorities. No warning, no choice. But surveillance doesn't end with your device. It's built into daily life. The government has organized neighborhoods into surveillance cells where residents are expected to report on each other. Husbands have reported wives. Kids have turned in their parents. In this system, staying quiet keeps you alive. Trusting someone, even family, can be fatal. Take the story of Shin Dong-hyuk. He was born in a political prison camp, Camp 14, because his uncle had defected to South Korea. In North Korea, they call it guilt by association. If one family member commits a political crime, up to 3 generations are punished. Shin grew up in that camp, eating rats and grass to survive. At age 13, hungry and desperate, he overheard his mother and brother planning to escape. Thinking he'd be rewarded with food, he reported them. 7 months later, the guards made him stand in the front row and forced him to watch as they executed his mother by hanging and shot his brother in the head. Shin was tortured for 6 months after that. At 23, he escaped. He crossed into China, then into South Korea, and became one of the few voices that told the world what these prison camps are really like. And those camps are still active today. Up to 120,000 people are believed to be imprisoned in them. Many work 16 to 18 hours a day in mines or on farms. Most are starved. Some eat grass, some eat rats. In one case, a 7-year-old girl was beaten to death by a guard for picking up a few grains of rice from the road. That's the level of control and cruelty we're talking about. After the fall of the Soviet Union in the 1990s, North Korea's economy collapsed. The government couldn't provide food, electricity, or basic services. People starved. Between 1995 and 1998, an estimated 500,000 to 2 million people died from famine. People hunted frogs and ate tree bark just to stay alive. Yet even in all this darkness, there's a quiet resistance happening, and it's being led by women. Since most men are assigned government jobs that barely pay enough to buy a few kilos of corn a month, women began running illegal black markets called jangmadang. They sell everything: food, medicine, clothes, and even USB sticks loaded with South Korean dramas. These markets are now the main source of income for most families. The government tried to shut them down, but they grew so large and so essential that even the regime had to back off. What makes these markets more than just places to buy and sell is what they carry beneath the surface: information. Smuggled foreign films, songs, even dramas are showing North Koreans something they've never seen before: freedom, choices, laughter without fear. One defector shared that it was a South Korean drama that shattered the illusion for her. In those characters, she saw lives filled with possibility and realized for the first time that everything she'd been told about the outside world was a lie. But the government isn't giving up without a fight. They've built a rigid class system called Songbun, dividing citizens into core, the loyal, wavering, the uncertain, and hostile, the suspected. If one family member falls out of favor, the whole family's Songbun ranking drops. It's designed to keep people scared and obedient. One woman defied her class ranking in a way no one expected. More on her in a moment. Still, the cracks are growing. Corruption is everywhere. Want your kid to get better grades? Bribe the teacher? Want to move somewhere? Pay off an official? The same system that was built to control people is now being hollowed out from the inside. The rules mean less when you can pay your way around them. But what happens when a system built on fear starts to crack? Let me show you, and here's the hopeful part. In a place where fear has been used to control people for generations, where trust was once too dangerous to risk, something is starting to shift. In the quiet corners of homes, behind locked doors and covered windows, people are gathering, not to protest loudly, but to share something simple and powerful: the truth. They huddle around old DVD players or cheap knockoff tablets, watching band shows smuggled in from abroad. And in those moments, something real happens. When two friends sit together and watch a foreign film, knowing full well they could be executed for it, and neither turns the other in. That's more than a risk. That's resistance. It's the return of trust in a place built to destroy it. It's the beginning of solidarity. And every time that trust is proven, the regime's grip weakens, because fear only works when people are alone. The North Korean regime has endured not because of popular support, but because of three things: cruelty, propaganda, and fear. It has weaponized loyalty, rewarding blind obedience with basic survival. It has criminalized speech, curiosity, and even thoughts. It has rewritten the truth to serve the family that rules. In this system, silence is not just expected, it's enforced as law. But no regime lasts forever, not even one this tightly controlled. Black markets have become more than an economic lifeline. They're a channel for connection. Corruption, once a threat to the state, is now its quiet form of rebellion. And foreign media, smuggled in by USB sticks and whispered through back alleys, is cutting through the propaganda that's been fed to people since birth. These cracks are small, but they're growing. And what's more important, they're being created by ordinary people, one risk at a time. People who are beginning to remember what it feels like to think freely, to want more, to hope. And that brings it back to us. It's easy from the outside to see North Korea as a world apart, too extreme, too distant to relate to. But what happens there is a mirror of what can happen anywhere when power goes unchecked and people stop asking questions. North Korea is a reminder that freedom is not a default setting. It's something that has to be protected, lived, and defended. That unity, real, hard-earned unity, is what holds a society together. And sometimes, change doesn't begin with a revolution. Sometimes it starts with one person pressing play on a forbidden film, one friend choosing not to betray another, one small crack in a wall that was never meant to break. If you found this worth knowing, share it. Talk about it. Let people understand what life looks like when freedom is taken away. And if you'd like more stories that go deeper than headlines, subscribe. There's a lot more we need to talk about.